Meditate on Sri Ramakrishna and his teachings. Shanti Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat Om Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. In the last class, we were discussing about the importance of the grace of mind. You may be practicing austerities, you may have good environment, you may have holy company, you may have all the facilities required for your development. But if you don't have the grace of your mind, then you will not have any results. So, we must struggle earnestly to get the grace of our own mind. All the spiritual practices, disciplines, they are all meant only to see how our mind is molded. So, you must practice disciplines earnestly. Then you must be watchful about the function of your mind. Then you will have to measure yourself, how far you are going onwards in your spiritual journey. So the question is, how can we know that we have received the grace of our own minds? How to recognize that fact? First, our doubts will no longer increase, but it decrease gradually. This is one of the indication that we are getting the grace of our mind. Secondly, we shall have clarity of understanding and certitude of faith. An abiding sense of the essential as distinguished from the non-essential will enlighten our thought process. One by one, the divine qualities which have been listed by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, called as Daivi Sampat, will be manifested in the mind. It's very important. You feel highly sympathetic, you feel compassionate, you feel kind, you'll be free from jealousy, hatred, anger. To the extent you are cleared of these negative forces from the mind, you are having the indications of the grace of your mind. Power of discrimination between the real and the unreal will be quickened. You will be able to appreciate the value very thoroughly, and the spirit of renunciation will be strong and strong. That means it will be strengthened more and more. You feel the spirit of renunciation intensely in your heart. That's the indication of receiving the grace of your mind. Remembrance of God will no longer be a halting hardship, but a unique inner delight. You feel joyful to repeat Lord's name. You feel peaceful and indrawn when you repeat God's name. That's the indication of the grace. Then temptations will gradually lose relish, and the miseries of life, their sting. You are no more bothered about miseries or whatever it is. The ego, which is the source of most of our inner and outer troubles, will shed its hood with fangs and poison and become harmless. If your ego becomes harmless, that is the sign of receiving the grace. Dichotomy between the head and the heart, dichotomy between the head and the heart will be a thing of the past. The sattva quality of the mind will predominate over rajas and tamas. Practice of spiritual disciplines will no longer appear a hard task, but delicious food you like to do, you like to practice. You feel joyful to practice disciplines. Pairs of opposites like heat and cold, happiness and sorrow, honor and insult will not be able to disturb your inner equanimity. That is a sign of receiving the grace of your mind. So, the sign of the received grace of the mind is that its control no longer presents insuperable difficulty, and gradually you develop a deeper insight into the meaning of self-control, and you discover new dimensions of its meaning. Swami Chidananda, one of the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he quoted Srimad Bhagavatam. His talks are very inspiring. It says in the Bhagavad, a man who has controlled all other senses except the palate is not to be considered a master of senses. When the hankering of the palate is controlled, everything else is controlled. That's the quotation from Bhagavad. Tavat jitendriyo nasyad vijitanyendriya puman na jayedrasanam yavad jitam sarvan jite rase. When the palate is controlled, the sex impulse is also controlled. Unless the senses are brought under control, there cannot be any spiritual progress. So, Lord Krishna also tells in the Gita, Tasmat tvamindriyanyadau niyamya bharatarshabha papmanam prajahi hyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Arjun, control your senses first and thereby kill this sinful propensity of lust which destroys one's knowledge and realization. That means the point here to be noted is that you must have full control over your system, then only you will be able to have the vision of God. Even if a single organ remains uncontrolled, all austerities, all efforts after spirituality become useless, even as when there is a single hole in a pitcher, all the water escapes through that. There is a parable of Sri Ramakrishna about the peasant irrigating his field. All the water escaped through a subterranean passage and not a drop of water reached the field. In Manusmriti, it is clearly stated, even if a single organ is allowed to run out, that alone destroys the aspirant's illumination, like water from a cracked leather and jar. Well, the substance of all these things is you must control your senses. That's the point. But then it is not to be brought about by a violent effort. Only by realizing God is it perfectly achieved. But at first, one must struggle for this end. Afterwards, it becomes quite natural. Still, one should not be overconfident. Just as the intelligent hunter catches a deer and ties it up, so after succeeding in controlling the organs, one should be alert and continue to hold the mind and organs in check. In order to get the best spiritual results, one should, for a considerable period of time, hold one's strivings rigorously in the frame of a routine. Routine work is seldom attractive, but generally speaking, no progress is possible without some basic, regular and sustained practice of spiritual disciplines. Such daily steady practice helps the aspirant to stay on the track and saves him from backsliding and temptations. Well, you are dealing with your mind, no doubt it revolts, but one must not pamper it. By constant prayer and by firm determination, it must be guided to do the course of the routine. When through practicing these disciplines, we develop some love for God, then it becomes painful to give up those daily devotions. This is a sign of the received grace of one's own mind. In spiritual striving, it is not all perspiration, there is inspiration also. It is not all pain and agony, there is joy and fun also. But at the initial stage, it is more agony than ecstasy. The idea of following a routine rigorously is to form a permanent habit. When the permanent habit has been formed, then the good mind will have been molded. Any resolution by this mind is unbelievably powerful. Swami Brahmananda ji, another great disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, his teachings in the book Eternal Companion, full of these spiritual ideas, nicely subject-wise and intensely practical. I wish each one of you should read daily Eternal Companion or the spiritual teachings of some Brahmananda. Keep on reading it over and over again. You will see how you feel inspired to do practices and how it is important to do practices. He says in that book, behind this mind of ours, there is a subtle spiritual mind existing in seed form. Everyone has that. Seed form. Spiritual mind. Swamiji says everyone has it. It's a great hope for us. Because the seed is there, you have to cultivate it. You have to see how that seed sprouts and develops. That's your practice. Once that spiritual mind is developed properly, then you will see the immense benefit out of that. Through the practice of concentration, through the practice of prayer and regular japam, this spiritual mind is developed. And with that development, what happens? A new vision opens up. And the aspirant realizes many spiritual truths. How do we know that a person has developed such a mind? There are some indications. We know it from the steadfastness of his devotion. When the aspirant has developed this subtle mind, the practice of spiritual disciplines will become easier for him. But he should not on that account slacken his efforts and lapse into complacency. If due to a little exaltation felt during meditation, he thinks he has attained a high state of spiritual excellence, then he is deluded. When he is not thus deluded, this is another sure sign that he has received the grace of his own mind, that is, he has developed the spiritual mind which already was existing in seed form. To give ourselves wholly to God is difficult because of this doubt which arises in the mind. What is the doubt? Since I have not known, since I have not seen God, how can I love Him? How can I surrender myself to Him? It's very common doubt everyone comes across. This doubt, however, is removed if a person finds the grace of an illumined Guru. The Guru removes all obstacles and shows the path to the eternal. So Swami Brahmananda ji says in that book, Eternal Companion, have intense faith in the words of the Guru and follow his precepts. What's the meaning of telling you have got faith in the Guru? It should be translated in your practicing the precepts, what the Guru had taught. If you engage your mind in that process, what will happen? All the impurities of the mind will be washed away, and the light of knowledge will dawn. If a man longs for God, if he is earnest about practicing spiritual disciplines, he is sure to find a guru. The man who has the grace of a guru knows the path. Let him follow it diligently. Now, you have the grace of the guru. You have, by the grace of God, the desire for spiritual knowledge. You have the society of the holy. Now you must strive to win the grace of your own mind by the practice of self-control. In these words, Swami Brahmanji has made very clear, you must strive to win the grace of your own minds by the practice of self-control. In these few words, Swamiji has given us the entire secret as to how the grace of our mind is to be attained. That means practice of self-control is the way to win the grace of your mind. In other words, the spiritual mind is developed, you will be able to maintain equanimity in yourself. So, the theme of this teaching is grace of the mind is very essential. So you must give utmost importance in dealing about your mind and developing the subtle mind or the spiritual mind, which is in the seed form, page 569. Presently Narendra arrived and Sri Ramakrishna was exceedingly happy. Narendra saluted the master and began to talk with Bhavanath and others in the room. M was seated nearby. A long mat was spread on the floor. While talking, Narendra lay on it flat on his stomach. The master looked at him and suddenly went into samadhi. He sat on Narendra's back in an ecstatic mood. Bhavanath sang, O mother, ever blissful as thou art, don't deprive thy worthless child of bliss. Sri Ramakrishna came down from the plane of samadhi. He sang, repeat, O mind, my mother Durga's hallowed name. O Gauri, O Narayani, to thee I bow. Thou art the day, O mother, thou art the dusk and the night. As Rama, thou drawest the bow, as Krishna, thou playest the flute. As Kali, all terrible, thou hast silenced Shiva, thy Lord. The 10 embodiments of divine Shakti art thou, and thou the 10 avatars. This time save me thou must. With flowers and bilva leaves did Yashoda worship thee, and thou didst bless her by placing Krishna, the child, in her arms. Wherever I chance to live, O Mother, in forest or grove, may my mind day and night dwell at thy lotus feet. Whether at last I die a natural or sudden death, O may my tongue repeat Durga's name at the end. Thou mayest send me away, O Mother, but where shall I go? Tell me, Mother, where else shall I hear so sweet a name? Thou mayest even say to me, step aside, go away. Yet I shall cling to thee, O Durga, and to thy feet. As thine anklets I shall cling, making their tinkling sound. When, O Mother, thou sittest at mighty Shiva's side, then I shall cry from thy feet victory unto Shiva. Mother, when as a kite thou soarest in the sky, there in the water beneath, as a minnow I shall be swimming. Upon me thou wilt pounce and pierce me through with thy claws. Thus when the breath of life forsakes me in thy grip, do not deny me the shelter of thy lotus feet. From the world's bondage free me, O spouse of the Absolute. Thy 2 feet are my boat to cross this world's dark sea. Thou art the heavens and the earth, and thou the netherworld. From thee have the 12 Gopalas and Hari and Brahma sprung. Whoever treads the path, repeating Durga, Durga, Shiva himself protects with his almighty trident. We shall stop here. So, we must try to get the grace of our mind. Very important in the spiritual life. If you know how to handle your mind, then you will have all the spiritual results. You will realize God, you will know the spiritual truths, the whole secret will be revealed. Yeah. Yeah. Any observations or comments? Yeah. You can give your suggestions also, because each one has got innate capacity to deal with the mind. It's nice to hear all the various methods of controlling the mind and getting the grace of the mind. Yeah, the point is you have to reduce your desires and replace them by your positive spiritual interest in engaging yourself in spiritual activities consciously with full awareness of what you are doing. When you give full attention to your spiritual activity, that is, when you are fully conscious, you are doing these activities as spiritual practice. Nothing else, nothing short of that. Then, by completely absorbing yourself in such spiritual devotional practices, that means in directly involving yourself totally, by doing it constantly, the desires which would have come otherwise and bother you have no time to come up and disturb you, because you are engaged in such activities. You have no time to divert your mind to any kind of desires, unless you sit on your bed and relax. I want to relax today. I have worked very hard. Let me relax. What do you do by relaxation? Mind wanders, goes and surveys the homes of all people, thinks of people and friends and all these things. That's the way how the mind functions. But the after effect would be, instead of getting relaxed, you get a kind of depression. So, that type of relaxation is to be changed. Relaxation you can do in many other ways. Even the relaxation also should be done spiritually. That's what I would suggest. Even the sleeping must be spiritual. Then you will see the wonderful effect of these practices on your mind. All these things will develop your spiritual mind, which is in the potential state. The very fact that everyone has that divinity in himself is a wonderful, assuring statement. That's enough. So no one is condemned forever. Not at all. The question is how you develop your spiritual mind. Once that idea should be taken to your mind. First of all, you must become aware that you have got that spiritual potency. Secondly, you must be sincerely earnest. You must be longing for the realization of the truth. You do really want to develop yourself spiritually. These are all basic necessities to develop spiritual mind. So, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading of Ramayana, reading of Bhagavad, reading of holy scriptures, singing the bhajans, doing japa, all these things can be done in a very dignified way. The dignity mark should be there. When you do it in a dignified way. Because it is very useful, very fruitful. You have to give whole mind when you are doing it. Not divert your mind when you are doing such spiritual activities. Because we have seen people coming to the chapel in order to meditate. But even in the chapel they keep on talking. Endless talking. But what is the satisfaction they have? The satisfaction is, I had gone to Vedanta Society. Today I visited the chapel. That's all the satisfaction. But what did you do? He cannot answer that. He could not sit even a few minutes. He could not think of God because he was talking. No. When you enter into the chapel, you must give auto-suggestion. I must be silent. The more I silent, the more I can divert your mind divert my mind towards God. You can enjoy the beauty of God only in silence. So, it is understood. Suppose you are in the chapel, people know he is in the chapel, let us not disturb him. That's good. So each one should feel that way. That feeling for others must be there. If you want to talk, go outside the chapel, sit and talk. But you have come to the chapel to meditate. Why do you want to talk? Now I am giving the example. Like that, when you are engaging, when you think you are doing spiritual activity, be fully aware you are doing that. Don't divert your mind to any other things. That way, you are washing the impurities indirectly. That's the way. The more and more you show interest in your spiritual activities, the more and more you feel you are receiving the grace of your mind. Yeah, that's true, that's true. Anybody else? The evening time is very auspicious for Lord Shiva. They call it as Pradoshakal. And Swami Vivekananda is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. The idea is we should make use of this occasion to see how Swamiji's name and teachings reach to the people. That's our target. Well, we pray for the grace of God and everything will be done thoroughly well. As it stands, is going on very smoothly. All the hurdles are just being melted away one by one. Who can dare to stand in front of Lord Shiva? So, you will be benefited. That's all I can say. What benefit? Spiritual benefit. You will see the after effect of that program. But go with that spiritual mood, that's important. Don't think it's a nice, oh, lots of people are there. You must think the other way. Because many people are there, you must be more joyful. It is meant for all, not only for you. It's meant for all the children of God to come and celebrate. So, whatever joy you feel in that atmosphere is not considered as a noise. It's a wrong interpretation. Have a spiritual outlook, then you will see everything is good, everything is beautiful. Anyway, chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean, and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, Mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.